welcome back to Macon. Today, I am super excited to share one of our family favorites, sourdough chocolate chip cookies. If you love the unique flavor of sourdough and the classic comfort of a chocolate chip cookie, then you are in for a treat. So let's get started. I'm making these cookies today because my husband specifically requested them to take to his coworkers. He knows how much everyone loves these cookies, and I personally can't blame them. They are a huge hit every time I make them. Now, a little fun fact about my daughter: she absolutely loves these cookies. She'll practically fight to the death for them. It's a running joke in our house, but it's true. These cookies are that good. So for this recipe, I'm using my trusty sourdough starter, Dot, lovingly named after my grandmother. She's been with us for a while now, and she adds such a wonderful flavor to these cookies. Using sourdough discard in this recipe is a fantastic way to reduce waste and create something absolutely delicious. You see, these cookies are not just a hit at home, but also perfect for sharing, just like my husband is doing today with his coworkers. So I'm sure they'll enjoy them as much as we do. So all right, let's get started and get into it. So we'll start with the usual suspects: creaming the butter and sugars and adding in sourdough starter Dot, mixing in dry ingredients, and of course, folding in a lot of chocolate chips. It's a straightforward process, but the result is anything but ordinary. I'm sure by now half of you have noticed, you can't see it in this bit, but you notice my cookies sitting in the back? Yeah, those are from the Snickerdoodle recipe, and you definitely want to go try those out because Carolyn Ketchum does a great job, and I have linked a review of that recipe down below in the description box. So on to adding our ingredients. So the first thing that we have is we're going to add butter. And what I did was while the oven was a little bit and it was warming, is I went ahead and I put butter on the stove, and that way it could get we don't want it too soft, but we got it a little soft so that we can cream the butter and the sugars together. So we're creaming together the butter and the sugar and the discard, but I like to come back in after it's done for a minute and then kind of get down the sides, because mine, for some reason, it likes to bring it all up to the sides. I don't know. Anyways, so we want to let it mix for 5 minutes.
You can see me right here in the camera. I want you to look a little closer at this. You can see that it's mixing. And it won't stop because you know why it won't stop. Hold on, Megan. You know why it won't stop? Because she is the one making stuff. Whoa. She is the one making stuff. Trust me, believe me, she is the one making stuff, and that's why she calls it Macon, because she's making, and she makes stuff, and that's her right there. Why don't you take a look? And you can also see, by the way, she is really funny. And you don't see me. All right,
down.
And I'm funny too.
I've got to finish this right here. Get down.
Ow!
Like me, pay attention to the instructions. There's some type of chaos that happens every time I end up trying to make one of these videos. There's something that always happens. So today's debacle was, you see the kid in the behind me? Okay, that's part of my debacle. Today's debacle was I didn't add both sets of sugars, just one. Mistake. It's not a huge deal. Just add in the sugars and cream it in there again, but you don't have to do it for the full 5 minutes this time. Just make sure that you get it all blended in really good. Comes out the same. I have actually done this before. I've gotten so far as where I did it and at the end, I realized I was like, I never put in sourdough. And I've had to go back and add my sourdough. So the cookies still came out great. So even with chaos reigning in the kitchen, you still get things done. You've got kids, you have to continue to move on no matter what. That's what this is all about. Keeping a smile on our face and not losing our minds in the process. This is what your mix should look like. So you see that? That's nice and creamy. That's what we're looking for the first part of our mix. All right, so to that mix, we're adding 2 eggs and 3 teaspoons of vanilla. And then we're going to cream it again. All right, now we are ready to start our dry mixture. We're going to mix all of that in a separate bowl, and then we're going to add it to the wet mixture. So we are getting closer. All right, so the recipe says 3.5. I'm sorry, he's rinsing off the dishes. Anything to keep kids occupied. So it says add 3.5 to 3/4, 3.5 to 3 3/4 cups of unbleached all-purpose flour. So that's exactly what we're going to do. You usually want to start out with a lower one, and that will tell you if you need to add a little bit more flour or not. So I always start off with 3.5. And then if I need to add more flour, I'll add more flour. I think if I remember correctly, this was enough, but you can always just eyeball it and see exactly what you need. Okay, so now I'm just changing my apparatus out. Did you like that word? I'm gonna put on the dough hook instead of the whisk because that way it can mix it up a whole lot better and it's not as rough on my machine as well. Now, I like to gradually add in my flour. I don't wanna add a whole bunch at one time. So you just kind of gradually add it in and then go from there. Little bits at a time is what you want to do. So what we did is we added in half of the dry mixture and then stirred it and then added in the other half of the dry mixture.
I haven't tried it yet. No way.
So now we're just going to add our chocolate chips in, and then we will be ready to stick it in the fridge and let it chill for 4 hours. And that gives us time to get dinner going and some other things that we need to get done. kind of scrape down the sides just a little bit just to make sure everything got mixed in really well. And then I'm going to cover it and I'm going to put it in the fridge, like I said, and I'm going to let it sit for 4 hours, because what that does is it helps to firm up the dough so that way you can be able to scoop it out a whole lot better to put on there. Now, I am going to cover it. Now, you can cover it with saran wrap, but I was going to, I plan on doing a review on these pretty soon, and I don't think it'll come out before this video, but if it does, then you'll already know about my idea. So we have an IKEA, and I absolutely love IKEA. Like I could go in there and I could stay in there all day long just looking at stuff. I don't need anything, but I just like to walk and look at all the different ideas that they have. So anyways, they had these, and I'm not even gonna remotely try to say it, okay? But they had these in the store, and I saw them and I was like, oh, that would be perfect for me when I'm trying to cover, you know, my sourdough my sourdough bread when it's rising, and then for pizza dough when it's rising. And so I bought them and I thought, I'm gonna give it a try. So I gave it a try on my pizza dough. Amazing. Like, it seals it and everything. So that's what I'm going to use on this one. It's the bigger one, and it fits. It seems like I think it says silicone, and it fits right over the top of this, and it seals it up nice and tight. And it came with 2 different ones, 2 different sizes, and so it's the perfect opportunity to keep it covered, and then that way I'm not having to use saran wrap. Plus, they're dishwasher safe. You literally just put them in the top of your dishwasher and wash them, and they're good to go. So we're gonna put this in the fridge for 4 hours, and then we'll come back and scoop them out, put them on a pan, put them in the oven, bake them, because obviously they're not going in the freezer because you can freezer. These are freezer safe. And for my crew, I usually do a dozen and then put the rest in the freezer, because I think these make almost 3 dozen if I'm not mistaken. So, but today we're gonna be making them. So see you in 4 hours in your few minutes. Okay, so it's been 4 hours, and what we're gonna do now is we're gonna scoop it out, and we're gonna roll them up into a little ball, and we're gonna spread them out about 1 to 2 inches apart on a parchment lined pan. And this two things. It helps with cleanup, and it keeps it from sticking to the pan, which is my preference. We've set the oven for 350 degrees. It's already preheated because I had to clean up a few things that were left for dinner, but that's just the whole part of waiting for the cookies. So let's get started and get them out on our mat. Okay, so let me explain. So this is nice and firm. Now I personally, I had a cookie scoop and then it broke. It wasn't anybody's fault really. It's just that this stuff gets pretty hard. So just be aware if you're scooping it out with a scoop, make sure it's a good sturdy one. So I have an ice cream scoop, and I just scoop it out and I put it on the pan, because it just works just as good for me, and everybody likes big cookies. Who doesn't like big cookies? Okay, so we're just gonna put them in the oven and leave them in there for anywhere from 8 to 10 minutes. They get a little brown on the top. I always have to play with that temperature with my stove, so you just wanna keep an eye on that to make sure that they don't get hard, because they do cool a little bit on the pan before you put them on your baking sheet. A cooling rack. It's called a cooling rack, not the baking pan. It's too late at night. So I have placed my first batch on the cooling rack. Aren't they gorgeous? Look at those cookies. Oh my goodness, they're so yummy. And there you have it, sourdough chocolate chip cookies. As you can see, I made a few mistakes along the way. And my son and daughter, your son, are running around causing a bit of chaos, but we managed to pull it all together. That's what this channel is all about, right, Audrey? Finding encouragement in chaos. It's got squeezy and horrible. That was not planned. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, so remember, even when things don't go perfectly, you can still create something wonderful. Are you getting a cookie or not? That's what she's headed to do. She's going to go get a cookie is what she's fixing to do. I'm just telling you. That's where it's at, where this whole thing is going. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you try the... Oh. Ah! What are you doing? I'm just trying to hit my on this crazy. Yeah. Subscribe. I'm really concerned. Oh, and there's my cookies. See if they're not. Are they crunchy? Well, I don't want them crunchy.
They're delicious.
They don't need cooked so long. They're good. So, we'll go back to this here just right. They're good. I agree. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you try this recipe, let me know how it turned out in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Happy baking!